I've worn my hair in a centre parting today, which I never normally do, and I'm not sure how I feel about it. Ugh. Hey guys, and welcome to another Q&A. Today's Q&A is in collaboration with Wiggle and Shock Absorber, and I've been sent over 10 questions by the Wiggle team relating to parkour and free running, because that's what I do, if you didn't know. Anyway, let's just get stuck straight in. So the first question is, you seem to be a cheerleader turned superwoman. What did you have for breakfast this morning? I think we all need some of that. Oh, now I really wish I'd had something a little more interesting. I just had cereal for breakfast this morning. I do mix my cereals though, if that makes it a little more interesting. I'll have like a granola-y type one mixed with more of a muesli or muesli? How do we say that? Muesli. Mixed with more of a muesli type one with some coconut milk, because who doesn't love coconut milk? I'm sure there's loads of people who don't like coconut milk, but anyway, I like coconut milk. Moving on, question 2. Free running is far more physically challenging than your average 10k. Oof, is it? I'm not sure about that. How do you train differently? I mean, honestly, personally right now, I would really struggle to run a 10k, so I think it's more that they're just a bit different. My training is mainly split up into 3 categories. One being the fitness gym, so actually going and lifting weights, doing my squats, doing some calisthenics type stuff, especially like using bars, so pull-ups and that sort of thing. The second type is when I train in a gymnastics gym, so that's often where I'll learn new flips and new skills, or it's just sometimes a better place to train in the winter when it's rainy and cold outside. And then the third place I train is then outside, so doing more of the like real parkour and free running out on the streets. Then I guess actually on the side to that I also do things like bouldering, a little bit of tricking. Like I do other types of training as well as just the free running and parkour stuff, but yeah. Question 3. What are the physical benefits of parkour and free running training? And with that, what are your 3 most essential sports gear to wear whilst training? I feel like that's 2 questions, Wiggle. You cheeky little wigglers. Okay, so first of all, what are the physical benefits of parkour and free running training? I guess the first one is just being strong, just to be able to do things in your everyday life. So for example, the fact that I can carry my own suitcase up a flight of stairs if I need to, rather than relying on someone else to do that. I don't know, that's a really terrible example, but you get the idea. It allows you to be strong. I definitely think it also helps with confidence, because you're constantly overcoming your fears and challenging yourself. So yeah. What was the next part? What are the 3 most essential sports gear to wear whilst training? Ooh, activewear. I do love activewear. Okay, so for me, I find that a good pair of leggings is really important. I really hate it if I'm wearing leggings that I'm constantly having to pull up, or they're like really wrinkly around my knees or something like that. So a good pair of leggings. For the girls, I would say having a really good sports bra. So this is a prime example actually. Shock Absorber is a great brand for that. You just want to have a bra that's actually really supporting your boobs, because let's be honest, no one wants saggy boobs when they're older. And 3, a good pair of trainers, I would say. So for me, doing free running, I want a pair of trainers which have good grip and they're quite flexible. A flexible shoe. This is me imagining I'm bending a shoe. Oh my gosh. And also personally, I quite like there to be some cushioning in my trainer, although other people prefer a much more like minimalistic shoe where there's less cushioning because they're crazy. No, for some people they prefer that, but yeah, that's what I would say. Question 4. You've done free running and parkour all over the world in some incredible locations. What was the most spectacular and the most challenging? Again, kind of 2 questions in one here, Wiggle. Most spectacular is always a really difficult one to answer. I actually get asked this all the time, and I don't know if I've ever come up with a definitive single answer, because different locations are all pretty spectacular for different reasons. Can I just ignore this one and go on to most challenging, because I have a very definite answer for that one. When I was shooting in Moscow in January, it was minus 35 degrees. It was minus 35 degrees up on the rooftop that we were shooting on. It was icy, it was super slippery, and I was struggling. Like, I was being asked to do some really tiny jumps, and I was just like, I'm honestly not sure if I can do that. So that was definitely very challenging. Also because you're wearing so many layers of clothes that you can't really move, you know, and you just kind of like yeah, I did that for a little bit too long. Number 5, is there anywhere in the world that you haven't been but would love to go freerunning? If so, why would you love to test your parkour and freerunning skills there? Again, I get asked this quite often and it's always a tough one to answer because there are loads of places that I really want to go. One place actually that I would quite like to go specifically for parkour is Seattle. I've heard that they have really great spots there. In fact, I've seen in videos that they do have really great spots there. And also one of my best friends from home just moved out there, so it would be nice to go and visit her and be in a location where there's lots of cool freerunning stuff to do. Another place I'd like to go is Singapore. There's a big jam that happens out there each year and I've never made it over to it yet, but it looks really cool. And actually I've never been to anywhere in Southeast Asia before, and that's a part of the world that I would definitely like to explore a little more, slash at all, as I've just told you that I haven't been. Number 6, you're often freerunning in places that people might not ordinarily explore, such as rooftops. What's the strangest thing you've seen on your freeruns? On your freeruns, I love that. This is actually another really tough question. I was thinking that I was just going to breeze through all of these super quickly, but strangest thing I've seen on a rooftop? I'm honestly not sure. I mean, I've been on some really cool rooftops before, so maybe I'll just talk about that instead. So one rooftop that was pretty cool to get the chance to go on was by the Grand Bazaar in Istanbul. It's actually the same rooftop where the really famous motorbike chase scene from Skyfall, I think it is. It's one of the Bond films. Skyfall. Yeah, it's where the famous chase scene happens. And for a commercial that I was shooting, when was it? Back in 2014? 15? I don't know, but yeah, I had the opportunity to be up on that very same rooftop and that was really, really cool, but not particularly strange. I'm sorry, I just don't know. Number 7, talking of unusual locations, have you ever experienced fear, and if so, how did you overcome it? Honestly, I experience fear quite a lot doing freerunning, but not in a like, this is super dangerous kind of way, but just when you are learning a new move, sometimes it can be scary, especially the first time that you're doing something on concrete, having only ever done it in the gym before perhaps. So yeah, I'm scared all the time, but you know, just gotta power through. There was actually one time when I was in Nice in France where I was at the Dame du Lac, which is a pretty... my camera just cut out. Anyway, what I was saying, so this structure in Nice called Dame du Lac, yeah, I'd climbed up to the top super confidently, and then when it came to getting back down, you have to like lean out. There's like a, well, I'll show you in this picture, there's like a ledge that you have to try and reach for this thin sloping wall that you need to get your foot onto, your foot onto. Just went a little American slash I can't do any accent ever. And as I was trying to reach down to get my foot on the wall, I couldn't reach it, so I was gonna have to like lower myself on this ledge without even having my foot on the thing below that's quite thin. Anyway, I had like a little mini freak out and I was genuinely thinking that we might need to call a helicopter or something to get me down. But we didn't. I managed to overcome that fear. Number 8, right now, what are your own personal parkour goals and how do you go about achieving them? Honestly, right now, my main goal is to just get my ankles healed up to 100%, or maybe not 100%, maybe my ankles will never be 100% again, but at least 95% so I can start really pushing myself in my training, because I feel like since February when I first injured my ankles, I haven't really been able to push myself to my limits. I mean, I'm definitely very much on the road to recovery. I mean, I've started training again. I am doing a lot more than I was, say, at the start of February, but I just feel like I'm not quite 100% there just yet. But then once I'm healed up, I don't know what my goals would be. I mean, I have a few very specific jumps and things that I've been looking at for a long time and I've always wanted to do. So I guess I would start working towards those. And how do you go about achieving your goals? So I guess for stuff like that, it is just a case of building up slowly until you get to the stage where you can do it. So for example, if there's a big precision jump that I'm like, I want to do that one day, I might start with just slightly small ones and get my confidence up again. Because to be honest, where I haven't really been training outside on concrete for the last 4 months, it's going to be a bit of a mind zone thing, like getting back into that right frame of mind to be able to jump my maximum jump onto concrete and not being scared that I'm gonna shin the wall. So yeah, does that even answer the question? I guess. Number 9, with goals come challenges. How do you stay motivated to train through difficult times? Well, I would definitely say that injuries for me are some of the most difficult times, just mentally as well as physically. It's so hard to stay motivated when you just can't push yourself in your training. But I was actually speaking to my friend Sydney about this recently. If you tell yourself when you get injured that you're going to come out of this injury and be a better athlete than you were when you got the injury, then it kind of just, it takes away that negative feeling about it, and you think, do you know what, I'm going to come out of this stronger than I was before. So that's what I'm working on telling myself now. But then just in general, when you have difficult times in your training, sometimes I really think that if you're having a bad session, then you just need to walk away from what it was that you were doing and go and do something that you find fun, and don't let yourself get into that really negative mental zone where you just feel like, why am I even bothering? I can't do this, and you start to feel really rubbish about yourself. I mean, I'm not telling people that you just need to walk away from any of your problems, but go back to it another day. If it's not the day for that move, then just take a step back and be like, do you know what? I'm gonna try something else, because clearly this is not the day for this. So yeah. And number 10, finally, if we were another cheerleader, gymnast or 10k runner who decided to make the drastic switch to parkour or freerunning, what would be your top 3 tips? Top 3 tips, let me think. Definitely my first tip for someone who is starting out in parkour and freerunning would be to start with the basics, really get a good grasp of the right technique for all the main vaults and also for precisions. Precisions in freerunning, if you don't know, is where you jump from one place to another and land precisely, hence the name precision. Also being able to roll so that when you take a drop you can actually absorb that impact without ruining your joints. I'm saying that, and my rolls are probably one of my weaknesses that I really need to work on more. It's actually crazy how many free runners you see, and I'm not saying I'm never guilty of this, but sometimes you see people doing some really hard stuff and then you see them really struggling with something very basic like a vault, and you just think something's a little bit off here. So I'd say start with the basics, because once you have that strong foundation, you're going to grow up to be a strong athlete. Another thing I would say is to do strength training alongside parkour and freerunning. I think in the past people kind of were under the impression that in order to get the strength you need to do parkour, you should just do parkour. But actually I think people's views towards that have changed quite a lot recently, as people have seen the benefits of doing things like squats. People who are squatting a lot improve the size of their jump dramatically. So doing strength training on the side, also a lot of upper body stuff, because I know that for me, I used to really struggle with climb ups, which is literally, if you don't know, where you're hanging on the side of a wall and you climb to the top of the wall. It sounds simple, but it's actually pretty hard until you learn the right technique for it and until you have the strength to do that. So I know that when I started training a lot of upper body strength stuff, suddenly I was like, my climb ups have got a lot better, and they weren't really improving before. So I would definitely say doing strength training alongside parkour and freerunning is definitely very beneficial. I don't know why I sounded so weird just saying that. It's very beneficial, guys, so you best do your strength training. A third tip. What I really want to say is going to sound super cheesy, but I really feel like it's true. And that is to try and enjoy yourself when you're training. Not even try, you should be enjoying yourself. And also surround yourself with the kind of people who inspire you to do better and who build you up. And don't be around people who are being really negative about what you're doing, or who just make you feel kind of crappy about yourself. So I know, for example, I've trained with people before who I felt like they were just constantly trying to compete with me while I was training, and I found that quite difficult to deal with, because it made me feel like they didn't really want me to do well. They just wanted to show me that they could do better, and that's not always a nice feeling to be around people like that. So surround yourself with people who build you up, have fun with your training, and I'll see you next time, guys. Bye!